They were carrying something very, very, very precious. Uh, it was their inner world. And, their thoughts, their feelings, their motivations, pains, desires, joys, everything that goes on within your internal life. And, you're carrying this stuff in it. Sometimes it's very, very heavy. It's actually probably too heavy for one dusty human to carry alone. Hi, I'm Barry, and I'm from Turning the Page, and I just wanted to share some thoughts around um, when no one understands you. And I think we all need someone to carry our souls as such with us. Someone, and this particular person, they needed someone who they could download their struggle to safely. But the strongest memory that they had of when they had done this was that their vulnerability had been like thrown to the pigs. It's like you found the most beautiful pearl in the whole world, and you sell everything you have to buy that one precious pearl, and you carry it with you, and you only show it to those people who will who will value it as much as you do. But instead, they look at it and they dismiss it as garbage, and then they throw it to the pigs who grind it into sand. And the question then is, who is safe? Who will listen? Who cares the beauty of the pearl within? Who is safe for into me see, intimacy, into me see? And I want that. We all want that. And I want the other to understand that the hurt that they've done when you've given them a beautiful pearl and they've trampled it. And there can be an anger growing inside of us because of their actions. But I know that my pain will be shot down even more if I express it. And what's the point? And this is the dilemma, the tension point that I hear so often in people that write to me, talk to me online, that what's the point? And there's a loneliness, a frustration, a pain of not being heard or understood, and underneath this desire just to be known. But it's like everyone has shields up, like Star Trek, and has raised to stop the penetration of anything that might be uncomfortable. And it might be helpful to understand why people act in this way. Why don't they understand? And I've got some potential reasons. See if they connect with you. Maybe you might have some other reasons. Number one is they're too busy. They simply have too much going on to be able to listen to the depth you need them to. Well, I think we need to forgive them anyway. Number two is your stuff is triggering. You say a few words and instantly something gets triggered in them. Unbearable feelings get generated. They go to pain places in their own lives, so naturally they put up their defenses. Forgive them anyway. Number three is that there's a consequence on them. What you're saying means they have to take responsibility for the things they have done, and they don't want to. Forgive them anyway. Cognitive difficulties. Look, they may not have the cognitive ability or the brain ability to simply understand what you're saying. And I think of those with ADHD, autism, Alzheimer's, and other cognitive disabilities. They simply struggle to understand. Forgive them anyway. Number five, you think differently from others. Yeah, you do. I think of the cartoon character Yogi Bear and saying about himself that he was smarter than the average bear. Look, you're not better or worse than others. You and your personality type are different from others. You're different to the average bear. So others are going to find it difficult to understand you. And I find this with my particular personality type is that I'm just different to other people. Other people may not get me. Forgive them anyway. Number 6 is they are trapped within a fast mentality. When I mean fast, you don't want to, they want to fix you, they want to advise you, they want to save you or set you straight. And all you want is simply to be heard. But like if every problem is a nail, they are the hammer. And then they will always treat you as a nail. All right? Some people are just like that. Forgive them anyway. Number 7 is they don't know how to ask gently curious questions. They simply haven't learned how to ask gently curious questions. There is a learning that hasn't happened in them. And you got to wonder, well, why haven't they learned this yet? Right? Forgive them anyway. Number 8, they are uncomfortable with mystery. They like logic, no mystery, nothing unresolved or nothing unsolved. You come with questions and mystery and it confuses them. Forgive them anyway. You're talking in another language. Not just in language as in like English or Spanish or French or German or whatever like that, but in terms or in words and concepts, they just don't understand. Like I'm currently reading an older book called Living Reality by George Mueller, and it's written in an English that we would not use nowadays, and how he's written it, it's like, oh boy, this is hard going. It's in a different type of English, an English from yesteryear, and it's just difficult to understand. Number 10, they actually haven't been there themselves. You share a story, but they can't connect to it to their own life experience, and so they just don't understand. Forgive them anyway. Impatience. This is a biggie. They want you to move faster, get to the end, finish it. And you feel a pressure to keep things light. They don't want to go deep. They just want to get to the end. Hurry up. Tell me what you're saying. Forgive them anyway. Can you forgive them? Look, I think Jesus deeply felt the experience of not being fully understood. The night, my thoughts go to the night before his crucifixion, and anxiety and pain were coursing through his veins so much that he sweated blood. No one understood him. Even his closest friends, his soulmates, went to sleep on him. He was utterly, humanly alone. He forgave them anyway. He knew their human weaknesses. Even as he was dying, he defended our human fallibilities. There we go. He didn't seek rightful justice and retribution against our dustiness. It says in Luke 23, when they came to this place that is called the skull, they crucified Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. So often the people we hope for understanding and closeness are the ones that hurt us the most. Forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. And even if they do know what they're doing, forgive them anyway. I hope that one of the outcomes of all my writing and podcasts and YouTube and everything I do here on Turning the Page is that the world will have a few more listeners, people who might know a little more about what they are doing. It seems to me that to find someone who will listen to you deeply to a place where you feel you're understood requires payment. Therapists, counselors, psychologists, etc., all have a role, but I wonder if much of what they do could be done by people who just know how to listen well. Maybe we also need older men and women on front porches. I remember a psychologist lamenting the loss of the old lady on the porch, welcoming the young mums into their homes for some earthy wisdom. Older men with younger men, passing on a baton of old age wisdom. We also need third places, and there's a link in the show notes for a post that I wrote about third places. But these are places where we go for relationship, conversation, and hope. But most of all, it's over to you to be what you want from others, to be the listener, the deep listener, and not an average bear, as Yogi B would say. And when people present to you the beautiful pearl of themselves, you know, those deep places, don't dismiss it. Don't throw it to the pigs. Don't grind it and chuck it away. Cherish it as much as they do in presenting it to you. Here's some quotes for you to consider. I want us to relate to one another, not as moralist to sinner or therapist to patient, but as saint to saint, father to child, a friend to friend, as true lovers with the confidence that we can help each other believe that, by the grace of God, there is something good beneath the mess. Even when all we can see is the mess, I want us to believe that we can nourish the good and encourage its release. Larry Crabb. Friendship is born at that moment when one man says to another, "What? You too? I thought no one but myself." C.S. Lewis. Sensitive listeners respond to comments with words that convey an interest in hearing more, sentences that open the door to information. Words that open doors transmit two messages. One, I am interested in whatever you have to say. Two, I will accept you regardless of what you say. Larry Crabb. Learn to respond to others with honest, open questions instead of counsel or corrections. With such questions, we help each other into deeper speech. Parker Palmer. When you speak to me about your deepest questions, you do not want to be fixed or saved. You want to be seen and heard, to have your truth acknowledged and honored. Parker Palmer. Good work is relational, and its outcomes depends on what we are able to evoke from each other. Parker Palmer. It is usually most helpful to ask questions that are more about the person than about the problem. Parker Palmer. Here's some questions to answer. What happens to you when you don't feel heard and understood? What happens inside you? Number 2, out of all the 11 reasons that I gave, what resonated with you the most? Could you add a 12th reason? And number 3, why are we so quick to fix, advise, save, or set straight? I hope you found this helpful and interesting. And if you want to send me an email, there's a link in the show notes down below. If you want to, have a discussion about this, send me an email. Just really appreciate hearing from my listeners and my viewers, and it's really good to just have you as part of my life. So get in contact now. Okay, bye.